are live and welcome to Teaching Tip Tuesday. My name is Michelle, aka the Ignited Teacher, and what I do on this Teaching Tip Tuesday is I help you to close math learning gaps by providing you with research and evidence-based math strategies that can be implemented in your classroom as early as the very next day. So thank you. If you're tuning in live, go ahead from whatever platform you're tuning in from and tell me where you're chatting from or what grade level you teach. And if you are new here, I want to let you know if you cannot catch me live, because a lot of people, we're busy, we're teachers. And if you can't catch me live, you can catch me on my YouTube channel. And if you're watching me on YouTube, go ahead and give this live stream a thumbs up. And click the subscribe button if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel already. And if you are, go ahead, leave me a comment in the comment section during or after if something resonates with you. So thank you for joining me live on this Teaching Tip Tuesday. Today has been a long day, and that's to say the least. So thank you all for showing up live. And I hope that you find today's topic very interesting. So I have been thinking about this topic for some time. I have. And it has been something that I did when I taught first grade. So if you're new and you're just tuning in for the first time, I used to teach first grade. And most people are like, what? So I've taught high school. I've taught Algebra 1. I've taught elementary. I've taught in middle school. So I have a wide definitely a wide gap or lens, as they would say. I have some shadows. A wide lens when it comes to math. I do. So today we're talking about inverse operations. And this is a picture that I took, I want to say, it's been about 8 years ago. And I had been, thinking about this and why teachers in first and second grade, well, not in first grade because they don't do regrouping. If they do, it's at the end. Really, second and third graders teach concepts like multiplication and division and addition and subtraction in isolation. And they teach them in a way where the coherence is not there and the skills don't build on one another. So in secondary mathematics, if you're an elementary teacher watching this today, inverse operations, it is the gift that never gives, because when our students get to us, they really cannot see the connection between multiplication and division. They cannot see the connection between addition and subtraction. So it's really difficult for them to really apply the properties of equality, because they have the property of equality as it deals with multiplication and as it deals with addition and subtraction. And the inverse operation is just, in layman's terms, when you put two numbers together and how they're connected through addition and multiplication. Multiplication groups them equally. Addition puts them all together, which Multiplication does the same thing, but in equal groups. So if they're put together with multiplication, the only way that you can undo the multiplication is through subtraction and division, because they are opposites of that. But one of the things that I do notice is that a lot of teachers in elementary, the modeling piece, it's not done long enough. It's like a hit it and miss. And I was talking about that in our PLC for my current grade level, which is 8th grade. And we were talking about that, and I was saying that the modeling, it's not there. So when you have to go from that concrete to abstract, it doesn't work. And it's really hard when you're trying to teach two-step equations and kids don't understand the inverse of them. So I wrote a blog post, and I want to say this was, oh Lord, I don't know how many years ago this was. Let me pull it down. And it's called Teaching Inverse Operations to Challenging Learners. So I was teaching 3rd grade. And if you look here, I created this little thing, inverse operation, and it gave a visual of what inverse operations are. And it says that inverse operation, addition and multiplication ties the shoe, and subtraction and division unties the shoe. So it says, last week I was looking ahead at the math skills that I had to teach my 3rd graders. So I was teaching 3rd grade at the time. And based on what I saw, I had to teach them how to recognize the multiplication and division were inverses of one another. So yesterday I was teaching my students to subtract 2-digit numbers with regrouping using a place value chart. And while teaching my lesson, I had an aha moment. Don't you just love those aha moments? First, I realized that I could introduce the concept of inverse operations while teaching subtraction, because subtraction is the inverse of addition. Modeling the inverse concept was very simple, and it didn't take much time. So this is my experience. And I guess we grow as educators when it comes to how we do different concepts or teach concepts, and we learn a better way. But this was my aha moment. And I think sometimes as math teachers, we teach in a disconnected way where our kids don't get what they need when it comes to supporting the vertical alignment. I have been guilty of it. And, that's just the nature of the beast. I don't know what to say, but it is. So we grow as educators and we learn better concepts. That's why professional development is very important. So I'm going to show you a little demonstration when it comes to this inverse operation. So I've already set this up. So when we should not be teaching, I got a net in here. We should start here. This is our first point where we should start teaching. So this represents 2 10s and 8 1s. I mean, 7 1s. And this is 2 10s, 7 1s. So what I'm going to do is add 8 1s to this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the reason why I use tally marks, and some people will say, well, why do you use tally marks? Because I believe in using what students have learned to anchor their understanding. This concept and place value is difficult for a lot of kids. How do I know? Because I taught 5th grade for many, many years, and place value continues to plague kids up until middle school. So that's how I know. So here, the student should automatically recognize that we have a group of 10 here. Now, when I was going through a training with Jonette, who taught me a lot of things about primary mathematics, is that I like the word that we use here. We call it trading. So we're going to trade these 10 ones for a group of 10. So we take it and move it here. Okay? So what that means is over here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ones. And you can break this down as well. We have 5 ones here. And it makes sense that this 10, when the student has to regroup that 10, it goes here. And now we have 3 groups of 10, which will give us 35. That makes sense to children. Now, if you're remediating students, I do believe that you should have the algorithm and the model side by side. And you probably ask me, well, why would you do that? Because children that are being remediated or have intervention, they already have some understanding of the algorithm. So you want to show them in tandem so they don't get, or side by side, so they don't get frustrated and confused. Because the model, you have to interpret the model. That's why models are so important, and that they actually are higher level learning than the algorithm, because you have to interpret what's going on and derive meaning from it and analyze it. So let's go over here to the subtraction part. Now, we're subtracting. We notice here, we took a group of 10 and moved it or traded it to the tens place. So watch what happens when we subtract and the clarity that it should bring to some students, and it should be able to have some rich conversation around this. So we have 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now here is where I have a lot of issues with when I was teaching 5th grade, is that a lot of kids did not understand that you could not subtract a smaller number from a larger number and get a positive number. Now, notice I said and get a positive number, because we know in secondary, it introduces those negative numbers. So you can subtract it, but you won't end up with a positive number. It will be negative. So here we don't have enough. So what we have to go here is take a 10 and regroup it. So notice it is doing the opposite of what addition does. Addition moves it to the left. Subtraction moves it to the right. So they're inverses, and you can introduce that word to kids, when regrouping, it's the inverse operation, because the operation is moving to the left, which makes the number get larger on a place value chart. But if you're taking 10 and moving it to the right, it's going to subtract. And that is number sense as well. You don't always have to have a number line, but this is where you can have conversations about this. So if I'm going to regroup 10, I have my 10 there. Now you have your kid, you have 8 plus 10. 7 plus 10 is 17. So that makes sense as to why you have that 17 there, because you have 10 here and 7 here, which gives us 17. Now you can subtract the 8. So And now this makes sense because you only have one group of 10. And there you go. And maybe I think I made a mistake. Let me see. I did. Hold on. Don't kill me. It's been a long day. 8 plus 8. That is right. That makes so that's, bring it up. I was correct. I have to make sure with those 9s. All right, so we have 19 and 35. So this is an inverse operation where you can show these children how it goes in the opposite direction. Now, some of you are probably saying, well, that's a lot. That's difficult for my kids. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but it's something that you practice over time and give the kids practice with it, because they have to be able to understand this model, because it helps in secondary mathematics. And you're probably saying, well, how does it help? It helps because, let me see. So say, for instance, I have 2x so I have to create a 0 pair first of all. And I have to, that's a 0 pair. And then I bring down my 2x, which is equal to 6 minus 5 is 1. So I have to undo 2x, which is put together by multiplication. The inverse of multiplication is division. That's your inverse. So it goes back to what I was saying about adding and subtractions. Oh, I know, Ori. Adding and subtraction. You need to have those inverses there. And it directly correlates to this. Knowing that these are opposites. They do the opposite. So once they get to secondary, they do not hear inverse operations or see it for the very first time. And I believe if you teach it this way, then it's something that kids will gravitate to. It's a different way of thinking, and it helps struggling learners too. And if you want to use it as an intervention, it helps with interventions too. So hopefully that's a helpful tip for you all moving forward, because we struggle in secondary with inverse operation, and I don't like, it takes forever for us to cement that. But I think if you teach inverse operation, especially with 4th and 5th grade, they will be able, it makes more sense for them. So let me go ahead and do a little recap. So the first tip is to use a model. Definitely use a model for teaching. You really need to make sure kids have the model, because it is a higher level thinking. Because like I said, you have to use your interpreting skills and you have to analyze what you're doing. So the second one is have conversation. Once you show how addition and subtraction are inverses, start talking about it. What do you notice? Because I use thinking routines, see, think, wonder. Go deeper with the students and have conversations about this. And the last part is to use it as an intervention tool. If you have some kids that are struggling with addition and subtraction, try using it as inverse, and you can use the manipulatives with them, or you can have them draw it out and have conversations about it. And I guarantee you, you will see a difference in the students' understanding of how addition and subtraction are connected. So I have been talking about my managing difficult classrooms course. It was on sale for $47 last week. It has since gone up to its regular price, which is $97. But here's the thing. Good instruction starts with classroom management. And if your class is in chaos, then you cannot teach. So my managing difficult classroom, you can purchase it at any time. Don't get caught this year with poor classroom management. Set up those routines and procedures, and set your kids on a successful path, and definitely set yourself on a course for success. So that is all I have for you all for Teaching Tip Tuesday. And I guess I'll see y'all next week for another episode of Teaching Tip Tuesday. Bye-bye.
This time